Have you ever found a vacation deal so perfect it felt fake? That's what I thought too. I found a lake house on Craigslist, $45 a night, no deposit, private dock. Too good to be true. And it was. I'd been going through a breakup, and the thought of peace, water, and solitude was everything I needed. The listing had 2 blurry photos, one of a dock at sunset and another of the kitchen, though oddly, there were no appliances in the frame. Still, the email response from the host was warm, if a bit cryptic. "The house wants peace," she wrote. "You'll bring it that." I arrived just before dusk. The air smelled like mildew and dead leaves. The gravel driveway wound down a slope so steep, it felt like I was being pulled by something invisible. The host, an old woman, met me outside. Her eyes were milky white, and she kept asking if I was alone. "Of course," I lied. The house was ancient, furniture covered in white sheets, mirrors turned to face the walls, and a dusty photo of a family where everyone's faces were scratched out except the mother. She looked just like the host. It took me a full 10 minutes to find the light switches. Every room buzzed with that flicker of old filament bulbs. The walls seemed to lean slightly inward, like they were listening. I unpacked quickly and decided to take a walk down to the dock. The air grew colder with each step. I didn't sleep the first night. The house groaned constantly. At 3 a.m., I heard the dock creaking, as if someone was walking slowly across it, but no one was there. The next morning, I noticed something strange. My toothbrush had moved. A sock was wet. And the family photo? The scratches were deeper. The second night, the host brought me soup. "You'll need your strength," she said. When I asked why, she smiled and left. Her hands trembled slightly as she handed me the bowl, and I noticed the veins in her arms were dark blue, almost black. As the sun set, the atmosphere shifted. It was as if the house took a breath. The shadows grew longer, and the creaking became rhythmic, like breathing. I woke up to the sound of sobbing. It was coming from the attic. I opened the hatch, and cold air rushed down. Inside were kids' toys, a crib, and a journal. The last entry: "She keeps us in the walls when the guests arrive. We can hear them scream. We hope they scream. It means they're still alive." A door slammed below. I ran to the front door, locked. Every window was sealed shut. I turned and saw her, standing at the top of the stairs holding a butcher knife. She was faster than I thought, but I was luckier. I jumped through the second-story window and ran barefoot into the woods. Branches tore at my skin. I didn't stop until I hit pavement. Police never found the house. They said there was never any listing. No woman. Nothing. But I still have the scars. And the photo of the scratched-out family. Weeks later, I received a package, no return address. Inside, a dusty children's shoe and a note. "You were supposed to stay. We had just made room." I moved across the country, changed my number, deleted every app. But sometimes, I wake up to the smell of lake water, and my front door is unlocked. Imagine renting a house in a ghost town. Sounds like the perfect getaway from the noise of city life, right? Except, the town was literally a ghost town. The Craigslist ad showed a cute adobe house, vintage interior, incredible stargazing. I drove 4 hours into the Arizona desert. No cell service, no street lights. My GPS gave up 2 miles out. What struck me first was how still everything was. the kind of stillness that makes your ears ring. I parked in front of what looked like the only structure that hadn't been reduced to rubble. The house looked newer than it should have, like it had been rebuilt recently, but with the bones of something older. No one greeted me, no key under the mat, just an unlocked door and a handwritten note inside. Come and rest. You're not the first. The rest of the town, burned out shells, boarded up churches, collapsed schoolhouse, silent. Inside the house, things were oddly pristine. Too pristine. Dustless furniture. Candles that had never been lit. Every drawer, empty. The fridge hummed, but held nothing but a single sealed jar of ash. I spent the first night alone under the stars. The sky was too clear, too perfect. It was like someone had painted it on a dome, but I kept hearing shuffling footsteps. I chalked it up to wildlife. Until I saw her, a girl in a scorched white dress standing across the street, not moving, just watching. I blinked and she was gone. Back inside, I locked the door and turned every light on. Things moved on their own. A rocking chair shifted. The faucet dripped red. I found the guest book in the living room drawer. The pages were cracked and stained. One message read, "Don't let her in. She burns everything she touches." Another said, "She only knocks when she's already inside." I slept in the bathtub with a flashlight and a crowbar. I tried to leave the next morning. My car battery was fried, and it wasn't just dead. It looked melted, like something had poured acid over it. I walked to the edge of the town and found a row of burned shoes lined up by the roadside. One pair looked exactly like mine. And then I saw the girl again, closer this time, eyes completely black, smiling. That night I boarded up the doors. I heard scratching, then screaming, like it was inside the walls, then laughter, a child's laughter, but deep, wrong. I don't remember falling asleep, but I woke up on the roof, covered in ash. The house was gone, burned to the ground. No smoke, no fire, just gone. I was standing where the living room used to be. My clothes weren't burned, but my skin had handprints scorched into it. That girl? She was smiling. She opened her mouth and a voice I recognized came out. It was mine, begging, screaming. Let me out, I don't remember escaping. Somehow I woke up in a hospital, 2 towns away. They said I had walked in barefoot, dehydrated, rambling about fire. The doctors found no burns, but my clothes smelled like smoke. And they never found the town, not even ruins. When I searched the listing again, it had disappeared. The screenshots I took, gone from my phone. But there's still a scorch mark on the sole of my right foot. It doesn't heal. And sometimes, in the dead of night, I hear footsteps outside my door, software barefoot, and a faint giggle. If you could stay in an abandoned town for free, would you take the deal? Comment below, because I did and I barely made it out. Would you? I was traveling through Chicago on a tight budget and found a high-rise studio on Craigslist. It was shockingly cheap. Downtown, with a balcony and city views. It sounded like the kind of deal you jump on before someone else does. The host was a man named David, only communicated by email, never answered calls. He left instructions for a self-check-in, and said not to worry if the Wi-Fi didn't work. "Better you don't leave a trace," he wrote. I thought he was joking. When I walked in, something felt off. There were no personal belongings, no pictures, no soap, no linens. It was sterile, like a display model. And yet, the fridge was running. The thermostat responded when I adjusted it. Everything technically worked, but felt dead. That first night, I kept waking up. Not because of noise, but because I felt like I was being watched. The balcony door had no curtain. The street below was busy, but it felt miles away. Inside, it was dead silent. At 2:44 a.m., I finally noticed it. A pinhole camera, embedded in the smoke detector. Then I found another, in the wall clock. Another, in a lamp. I tore the place apart, at least a dozen hidden cameras, all connected to an ancient computer tower locked in a closet. But the worst part, the files were organized by date and labeled with guest names. Hundreds of them, and they all ended with a file marked Final. I opened the last folder. There was video of me from just hours ago sleeping. Then, another file appeared. Live footage. A man in a ski mask, standing right behind me. I spun around, but no one was there. Then, the footage showed me turning. Slowly. And the man wasn't behind me anymore. He was in front of the camera. The power went out. I fled. I didn't even take my bag. When I tried to contact the owner later, the ad was gone. The building's front desk said, no such unit had been rented in years. But that's not where it ended. The videos kept coming. Anonymous emails, links to dark websites, footage of me shopping, driving, in hotel lobbies, even in my parents' backyard. I hired a private investigator. He said the email pings were bouncing through offshore servers, mostly routed through Eastern Europe. But there was one consistent signature, an IP that pinged from inside my own apartment. I switched Wi-Fi networks, tossed my devices, lived off the grid for months, until last week. I got a package, no return address. Inside, a flash drive, one file, me, asleep. But the camera was inside my mouth. I don't know how, I don't know when. But I do know one thing. He never stopped watching. And I think one day, he'll stop recording. Because he'll be done. What would you do if you found secret surveillance in your rental? Would you leave immediately? Or try to find out who was watching? Let us know in the comments below. I was visiting Portland and found a cute garden-level rental through Craigslist. It had this charming, overgrown courtyard, old stonework, ivy crawling up the side of the house. The photos had this washed-out, dreamlike glow to them. I messaged the host. Her name was Annie. She responded fast. The house is old, but she's gentle. Just don't try to go downstairs. When I got there, the place was even prettier than expected. Smelled like lavender and old books. Everything creaked, but in a cozy way. At first, on the kitchen table was a handwritten note. Feel free to explore, but the basement is off limits. Fair enough. Except, I didn't see a basement door anywhere. I stayed up late the first night binge-watching a crime doc. Around midnight, I started hearing something. A knocking sound. Not loud, not aggressive, just rhythmic. Software. It came in threes. Knock, knock, knock. I thought maybe it was plumbing. Or a neighbor. But the sound came again. And again, always, from below. That night, I dreamed of drowning in dirt. I woke up coughing. My hands were covered in soil. There was a fine layer of dirt across the bed. The next morning, I found a scuff mark on the floor behind the pantry. I moved a shelf and found it. A hidden door, heavy, iron-rimmed. It had 3 padlocks across it. Naturally, I opened it. The air that came out was colder than any basement should be. It smelled like rust and rotting meat. The stairs went down forever. Cracked concrete walls, flickering bulbs. At the bottom, an old wooden chair, shackles, a single light bulb above, a tape recorder on the floor. I pressed play. A man's voice, shaky, panicked. She said I could go if I fed the house. She's always hungry. I turned back, but the stairs were longer going up. I started running. I swear they moved, twisted. I heard breathing, then laughter. I don't remember getting upstairs, but I woke in bed, drenched in sweat, a metallic taste in my mouth, and the pantry door was gone, like it had never been there. I slept with a knife that night. The next morning, I woke up in the chair, shackled, the light bulb humming, but the door at the top of the stairs was open. Just too far away. I screamed until I passed out. When I woke again, I was back in the bed upstairs. No marks. The pantry sealed shut. I packed up and left without showering. Just got in the car and drove. I emailed Annie. No reply. The Craigslist ad. Deleted. But I had screenshotted it. 2 months later, I saw a photo of the house in an article. Headline: Serial kidnappers torture basement found in rental property. But the article was dated 5 years before I stayed there. I contacted the reporter. They said the house burned down. Total loss. No survivors. I showed them my screenshots. The address matched. So did the wallpaper. Now, at night, I still hear the knocking. 3 soft taps from beneath my apartment floor. What would you do if you found a hidden basement door in your rental? Would you open it? Let me know, because I did, and I'm still not sure I ever left. It was supposed to be a solo writing retreat. A rustic Craigslist cabin, buried deep in the Colorado woods. No neighbors for miles. Perfect silence. But that silence didn't last. The host had left a key under a pile of pine cones by the front steps. No instructions. Just a note inside that said, "It remembers." The first night I heard footsteps on the porch, just pacing, back and forth. I looked outside, no one there. Just fog that wasn't there before. The second night I heard knocking on the walls. Always 3 knocks. Then silence. Then a whisper. Open the door. There was no door on that wall. I thought I was losing my mind. Then I found the camcorder. It was hidden under the floorboards, still recording. The footage showed a man, pale, shaking, eyes wide. He was filming himself. Same couch, same cabin. He whispers, "It won't let me leave." Then he vanishes. Just disappears. Mid-frame. The camera falls. The timestamp? Exactly 1 year before. To the hour. That night, I locked every door and window. I sat with the lights on. 2:59 a.m. The camera in my bag started recording by itself. I grabbed it. The screen showed live footage of me. From behind, I turned, and there he was, the man from the tape, mouth open in a silent scream, inches from my face. I don't remember leaving. I just remember waking up at a rest stop. My bag was gone. So was the footage. I told myself it was a breakdown, stress, dehydration, until I checked the notes I'd written for my novel. Pages and pages, in a handwriting that wasn't mine. All about the cabin. In the voice of the man in the video. There were dates, names, coordinates, and a list of guests. I cross-referenced a few names online. Obituaries, missing persons. They'd all stayed at that cabin. The last entry on the list? Me. A week later, I got a postcard. No return address. Just a photo of the cabin, and scrawled on the back, "New footage coming soon." That night, I dreamt of the man again. But this time, I was him. Watching someone else walk in, camera in hand. Would you watch a video? Found under the floorboards? What if it showed your future? Drop a comment. I wish I hadn't pressed play. I booked it last minute. An oceanfront bungalow in Maine. It wasn't on any official booking sites, just Craigslist. But the view? Unreal. The directions led me down a gravel road that didn't exist on Google Maps. No signal, no houses nearby. But there it was. A perfect little cottage, right by the sea. The waves crashed, 20 feet from the back door. It was peaceful, too peaceful. Each night, the tide came in fast, faster than it should have, and the water level rose higher each time. By the third night, it was lapping against the windows. That's when I found the journal, buried in a kitchen drawer, water damaged. Page after page of frantic writing. She calls from the ocean. She wants a new soul, one per season. Don't answer the door when the tide reaches the sill. The last entry? It was in different handwriting, and it said, "Welcome back." I didn't sleep that night. At midnight, I heard knocking, not on the door, on the glass. I looked out and saw her, pale, bloated, eyes black, mouth open, wider than should be possible. She was under the water, smiling. The waves burst through the window. I woke up in my car, miles away, soaking wet. No idea how I got there. I looked up the listing again. It was gone. But that wasn't the end. At home, I began to hear the sound of waves in my apartment. A low crash, as if something was rising and falling outside my window, even though I live on the third floor. I tested the walls for moisture, dry, checked the pipes, normal. Then came the seaweed. Strands of it on my doormat, on the shower floor, in my shoes. I started locking my bedroom door. At night. One morning, I woke up to find the entire apartment soaked, floor to ceiling, no leaks. My phone buzzed, screen cracked and unreadable, but with a single notification. Tide's in. I called an electrician, a plumber. No one could explain it. Then I found a wet trail leading to the closet. When I opened it, the closet wasn't there, just steps, stone, leading down, and a smell, salt, rot, and something older. I closed the door and left the apartment. I never returned, but I still rent rooms. Never the same place, for more than a night. Still, some mornings I wake up damp, with sand in the sheets and the unmistakable sound of knocking. Not at the door, at the glass. Ever stay by the ocean and wonder what's underneath the waves? Comment below. Some doors don't open, they flood in. It was a Victorian rental in upstate New York. The Craigslist post made it look dreamy, Stained glass windows, antique furniture, clawfoot tub. The owner even bragged that the place had historic charm. What they didn't mention was the locked room on the second floor. At first, I didn't think much of it. The door had 3 separate locks and a handwritten sign that read, "Do not enter, ever." But every night I heard movement behind that door. Footsteps, dragging sounds, breathing. The 4th night I noticed something was off. The temperature on the second floor dropped suddenly. My breath misted in the hallway. Then the lights began to flicker, only around the locked door. I left my phone recording audio outside the room while I slept. When I played it back in the morning, I heard a child's voice whispering, "Are you here for the party?" Followed by laughter, slow, mechanical, like a wind-up toy running out of spring. On the 5th night, I found the locks on the floor. The door was open just an inch. I pushed it open, slowly. Inside was a child's bedroom, frozen in time. Toys from the 1920s, dust so thick it muffled sound. And on the bed, a doll, dressed like a boy, glass eyes staring. I turned to leave. The door slammed shut. I was trapped. Then the doll whispered, "You're mine now." I screamed, kicked the door until it opened, ran, didn't look back. When I returned with police, the room was sealed shut again. No doll, no bed, just one thing on the floor. A photo of me, sleeping in that bed. I tried to report it, but the officer said, "You're the 3rd this month." Back home, things got worse. I started hearing dragging sounds outside my bedroom and finding little objects in my apartment, old marbles, wooden alphabet blocks, and one night, the doll, sitting on my kitchen counter, a note in its lap. "This time, don't run." I moved to a different city, different name, cut all ties. But this morning, I found another photo on my doorstep. It was me, sleeping, in that same room. Would you open a door marked "Never Open"? Be honest, because curiosity nearly killed me. I rented a solar-powered eco-home, buried deep in the Oregon forest. Beautiful, isolated, filled with natural light. But in the main room, there was this massive mirror, gilded frame, ornate, out of place. It wasn't listed in the ad. Every time I walked by, I felt delayed, like my reflection lagged, like it had to catch up. The 3rd night, I watched it. I stared into the glass for hours, and then it blinked. But I didn't. It smiled, and I didn't. I backed away slowly, and the reflection stepped forward. I turned off the lights. The glass still glowed. That night, I barricaded the room, but I heard footsteps inside the mirror, pacing. In the morning, the mirror was cracked, just slightly, like something was pressing against the other side. I started noticing things changing around the house. My toothbrush moved, food was missing, and then one day, I found muddy footprints, bare feet, leading up to the mirror. The reflection wasn't mimicking me anymore. It was studying me, learning me. I tested it. I waved with my left hand. It used its right. I turned away. It kept facing forward. Then, one morning, I woke up and it wasn't there. The mirror, I mean. Just an empty wall. But I could still hear it. Breathing. Then came the tapping. From behind the walls. Slow. Irregular. Like fingernails on wood. The next day, I found a note slipped under my door. Don't look too long. You'll let it out. I left that night, didn't pack, didn't turn off the lights, just drove. Now, no matter where I go, I keep seeing mirrors that weren't there before. At gas stations, hotel rooms, bathrooms I swear used to have windows. Sometimes, I see someone else in them, just for a second. And sometimes they wave first. Mirrors reflect what's real, right? Or do they show what's waiting to take your place? Let me know if you've ever felt like your reflection was watching you, not mimicking you. In Scotland, for a film project, I stumbled on a Craigslist rental that claimed to be a castle tower experience. It looked like a medieval dream. The rate? Dirt cheap. The directions took me off the map. Dirt roads, sheep fields. Finally, a stone tower surrounded by fog. There was no host, just a key under a rock. I walked inside and the heavy wooden door slammed shut. I didn't think much of it until I tried to leave. The door wouldn't budge. No windows opened, no signal. And the spiral staircase? It led to identical floors over and over. Same layout, same rug, same candle. I left breadcrumbs, marked walls, still looped. Then I saw it. A figure standing in the corner of the 4th floor. Same clothes as me. Back turned, not moving. I shouted, no reply. I reached for him. He turned and had no face. I woke up in the entryway. Door ajar, sun rising. I ran. When I got to town, they said that tower burned down in 1943. Everyone inside vanished. I never found the ad again. But I couldn't let it go. I went back a week later. Same road, same sheep fields. No fog this time. No tower either. Just a blackened stone foundation and overgrown weeds. But my footprints were there, leading into the ruins, and one set leading back out. But they weren't mine. I checked my phone gallery, dozens of photos I don't remember taking. All of the spiral stairs, from above, as if I was watching myself climb. And in one, just one, there's that faceless figure, standing at the top, smiling. Some nights I hear footsteps in my hallway. And when I look in the mirror, my reflection is already turned around. What would you do if every floor of your rental was exactly the same? Have you ever felt like you were walking in circles? Tell me below. I booked a mountain lodge in Vermont after a ski injury. The host was kind, said they had an on-call night nurse who checked on guests recovering from injuries. At 2 a.m., I woke up to her. She was standing at the foot of my bed. White uniform, pale skin, no expression. Holding a tray with a syringe. "I'm here for your nightly injection," she said. Her voice was monotone, like an automated message. I refused. She didn't move, just stared, for hours. Then she turned and walked through the wall. The next day, I asked the host. He turned pale. We haven't had a night nurse in 15 years. I checked out that day. Later, I looked up the lodge. Turns out, a nurse had poisoned 3 patients there before overdosing on the job. Her name? Same, as on the tray she left by my bed. It had my name engraved on it too. I tried to dismiss it. A weird dream. A ghost story. My brain cooked up. But when I returned home, things started to happen again. I'd wake up at 2 a.m. sharp. Every night. My skin felt bruised, like someone had been pressing down on my chest. One morning, I found a syringe cap on my pillow. the kind that matches old-style hospital gear. I set up a camera, and what I caught made my blood run cold. At 1:59 a.m., the temperature in the room dropped. My breath fogged, and at 2 o'clock, the door creaked open. She walked in, same uniform, same dead eyes. She leaned over me and whispered something I still haven't deciphered. Then she smiled. For the first time. That night, I burned the footage. But now I've started sleepwalking. Twice, I've woken up in front of clinics I've never visited. Each time, my arms are sore, bruised. And each time, there's a note in my jacket pocket. Your dosage has been adjusted. See you tonight. Ever had a caretaker give you the creeps? What if they never stopped working even after death? Drop your stories below.